Hello, you are welcome to today's live um, at here at the Expectant Parent Academy, and I am super excited to have you on board. So today we are continuing on our series for the month, which is on misbehavior. Okay, and we had the very first Monday live for the month talking about misbehavior last week Monday. Okay, so this week's Monday live was somehow for some reason, so we couldn't have it on Monday, but then we are having it today. Okay, and it's something you want to relax and watch because I am a mother of three. My first child is 4 years going to five, and my second child is two going to three. And I can tell you, right, having the two of them is a handful. The first is a boy, the second is a girl. And my boy is like the typical boy that is everywhere. His energy is on top of the roof. And the squabbles between siblings, I've seen we've had a handful of that. And everything you can think of about children misbehaving, right? I've had a good dose of it. And so what we're discussing here is so what I'm going to share with you are things that I haven't just read, there are things I've experienced, there are things I've had to deal with, there are things I've had to give my time studying about, taking courses about, and putting in the work myself and seeing the results from the efforts we put in the house. Okay, so you want to sit back. Um, you're going to have something to work with as a parent, as a teacher, or just as an enthusiast of parenting or family generally. Because parenting ideally is done within the family system. So parenting, family, they go hand in hand. All right. So today we're talking about being a teammate with your child against misbehavior. Being a teammate with your child against misbehavior. So, in the face of misbehavior, there are two things that you can do or you can decide to do as the adult who is seeing the child misbehave. Number one is to get down at that child's level, right? Get down at that child's level and work with that child out of the misbehavior or through the misbehavior. That is number one. Number two is stay on your high horse and be like, what is he doing? And what is she doing? What's all this? Clear this mess and all of that and all of that. You you just whatever it is, just take care of it. Right? These are the two things you can do. And whichever of them you choose to go with, there are implications to them. Okay, or there are implications to each. The first choice, which is coming down to the child's level, number one is going to build connection between you and that child. A child that knows that in the face of misbehavior, even if I do the worst, mommy or daddy will not flog me, will not yell at me. They can be angry, but then we'll talk about it or they will talk it through with me. You see that kind of child who can trust his parents that much, right? Is is a child that is having all the flex there is. Okay, and that parent whose child can trust like this also is having a good time with parenting. Not a good time as per it is not difficult, but you know that you're putting in work and your fruits are going to be plenty. In fact, if you start early, which is one of the things that the Expanded Parent Academy is out to do, right? Coaching parents through expectancy to the first 6 years of their parenting. Why the first 6 years? Because many people feel, hey, it's their children are still young, of that and all of that. The truth is, the first 6 years in your parenting journey should be the period of building foundation. You know how important foundation is to a building, right? If the foundation is faulty, whatever structures you've built on that foundation, it's just be a matter of time before the structures come crumbling. Why? Because it's not standing on the right foundation. So if you're a parent who um if you're parenting children within the first 6 years, you're very lucky, right? You're very lucky because what I'm going to share here are things that you can put into practice and things that you can work with. Okay. It's not something that is highfalutin, it's not something that you can't relate with or something you say, hey, don't worry, when my children grow older and all of that. Okay. All right. So I was saying that the first choice, which is coming down to that child's level, number one, you're building connection with that child. Okay. Number two, you're helping that child to think through misbehaviors. So the child knows that even if I've done it, I've not gotten this thing the right way, what can I do? So the child learns to relax and ask the what can I do question and not just crying to you and you now reacting back and saying, leave me alone, I am tired. Or you start using words like, you're stressing me out, I'm sick, I'm tired of you, and all of you. Want to watch last week's Monday Live on 5 things you should never say to a child in the face of misbehavior. If you missed that last week's live, you want to go and watch it. 5 things you must never say to a child in the face of misbehavior. We took time to talk about those 5 things, why you shouldn't say those things, or the implications of saying those things, and the alternatives, because nature abhors vacuum. Okay, so I will not tell you what not to say and then not give you what to say. So you want to watch that last week's section. And if this is the first time you're coming at we are coming across this channel and you like what you're hearing or you like what we have on the channel, feel free to subscribe and turn on the notification bells. Our Monday lives comes every week. All right. And then if you have any question, feel free to drop it in the comment section. I am always going to respond to it or drop whatever comments you have in the comment section. All right. Okay. So if you go by option two of just telling the child to fix it, however you want to do it, just get it fixed. Number one, the implications is that you are losing the bond that that could have developed between you and that child. All right. You're losing the bond, and by extension, you're losing the connection. Okay. Number two is that you're teaching that child that you're kind of giving that child the vibe that you're you're on your own. Oh, you're on your own. So whatever that happens, just take care of it however you want to take care of it. That one is your cup of tea. And this is really dangerous because we are in a world where the things that are loudest, most things that are loudest are the wrong things. Okay. So who exactly are you leaving that child to out there to help your child sort whatever misbehavior it is, or or take care of? If I say source, it will be like big people. Okay, let me come down to, if you want, if you don't walk your child through tantrums or misbehaviors like taking what is not theirs, like hitting the sibling, like not doing assignments, or like telling lies. These are common things you find in children within from basically from 2 to 6, bearing in mind the age group we are talking about here. Okay, so if let's take lying for instance. If a child knows that if I lie or if I spoil something, what mommy just wants me to do is to take care of it, right? It's from you. And what you're teaching that child is that it is okay not to be accountable when you get something wrong. It's okay not to talk about it. It's okay not to ask questions. It's okay to do whatever you want to do and just provided you're able to cover yourself. And that's really, really a terrible thing to teach a child. It can be in common things like you went to school, Somebody gave you spoon to eat, probably because you forgot your own, and then you finished eating and came back home with the spoon. And you say nothing to the child, or you tell the child, I don't want to see this spoon tomorrow in the house. And then the child gets to school, probably forgets it again, or anything happens, or even throws the spoon away instead of taking it back to school. That is an instance here. So when you give your child that vibe that just sort yourself out, probably because we are not absent physically or emotionally to that child, we are laying foundations for a child that will be dishonest. We are laying foundation for a child that will be a lone ranger. And what betide that child and you if other lone rangers find them straying alone in the forest in quotes here, okay? During modern Sundays, let me use that because that's where we use it more, especially in the churches. We hear songs like President Onye Moria, like we say in Igbo, Nne, Engineer Onye Moria, Nne, and all of that. We forget that we often forget to include in that song that kidnappers had parents. Or whoever we want to name or tag as the worst of persons grew up under adults. And sometimes those adults are the parents or the caregivers to that child, or something went wrong. And you know why I'm bringing up this conversation? To remind us that what we do at this level, the foundation we'll build in our children is is upon that foundation that they will build the structures during adolescence, during adulthood, and whatever they do stem from what we do in the first 6 years. So we want to take this period really serious. We want to be intentional. We want to be present physically and emotionally. We want to be there doing what we should be doing as parents or as caregivers or as teachers. Okay? All right. So there are three mindsets, three important attitudes to misbehavior that I want us to talk about. And so by the time we are done talking about these three mindsets, I want you to hear it. I want you to wear it like a helmet, right? I want you to put it to mind. I want you to remember it in the face of every misbehavior because you're really going to need it. Okay. So the number one mindset we're going to talk about is number one, misbehavior is one of the ways that a child learns. Even for us as adults, when we make mistakes, right? And we have people who can walk us through that mistake, we often don't repeat the same mistake next time. Why? Because we've learned. And the same thing happens in children. Okay? The same thing happen in children. So a child makes mistake, or a child throws a tantrum, or a child misbehaves. It's an opportunity for you to reinforce the behavior that you want. It's an opportunity for you to reinforce what it is that you want that child to pay attention to and do better next time. I'll give you an instance. Um, Sometimes, or most times rather, my children will walk into the kitchen and excuse me, they will want to open the fridge, and because of the light in the fridge they want to keep it open and be wanting to know at what point will they close it and the light will go off. And at one point, so my sons especially will want to keep it, wants to keep the door really close to being closed but not closed so that he can still be seeing the lights and all of that. And so initially we would say the fridge is not a toy that you play with. Don't do that next time. But of course, they choose not to, or sometimes they could choose not to. And so we had to say, okay, at that point when we are saying close the fridge is not a toy. That is redirecting the behavior. You're redirecting their behavior of wanting to keep the do all of those experiments with the fridge and enjoy it. Of course, it is fun for them. So they are obviously enjoying it. But when you keep saying the fridge is not a toy, close it, you're redirecting behavior. And you can extend it to any other thing that you feel is of um, major concern or major misbehavior. Let me even ask at this point, what is that misbehavior that if you're asked what's the major misbehavior of your child that you're not happy with, what is it going to be? Okay, your child, it could be that your child cries too much for no reason, no reason in quotes. Okay, it could be that your child doesn't listen to you when you talk or when you give instructions. It could be that your child refuses to do things that you know he or she can do, or whatever it is. So just let me know in the comment section what it is that what is that what is that common misbehavior that you are at the point where you're tired of taking it calm with the child. Okay, probably in the next Monday live I may talk about it and give you mention practical guides and all of that on how to go forward with it. Okay. All right. So number one, attitude, mental attitude we should wear is that misbehaviors are opportunities for you to for a child to learn. And so in the moment of misbehavior, you want to take away yelling, you want to take away beating that child. You want to focus on what can I teach this child? What can I teach this child from this misbehavior? I will give you another example. Recently, my son broke all of the plates on my plate rack, all of them. I think it was just one that the crack was very minimal, so we could use it, but the rest of the plates were shattered on the floor. So when I walked into the kitchen, because I was not there, they were there with their auntie. When I walked into the kitchen, of course, you see plates on the floor now, you know the plates are broken, so you don't need anybody to tell you the plates are broken. So I just asked what happened. I was told what happened and how it happened. I turned back and went back to my room. I know it was a I know it wasn't planned. It hasn't happened before, at least in that magnitude. The last time he broke a plate was when he was less than two. That was because my niece, who visited that period, served him food in a breakable plate. And so my guy was just doing anyhow with the plate, and the plate broke. So we haven't had this magnitude of breaking of plates, multiple plates at the same time. It hurts me, like really hurts me. But you know what? It's an opportunity for me to show him that the things he did that led to breaking of that plate was wrong, number one, and he's not to repeat it in the kitchen. We also talked about instances where because he moved his he went into the kitchen with a clothes, and he moved it back, and the clothes was trapped on the plate rack, and so he pulled it forward by force, and then the rack came crashing with the plates, and that was how it happened. Okay, so oh, somebody joined us, you are welcome. Please can you comment in the comment section, let me know who it is that just joined us. Okay, so um I needed to teach him that that plate, that I mean the plate rack that the clothes caught, it could have been a pot on fire.